The Real Investment Show.
So Iran has now broken the first rule of a secret underground base, which is not to talk about it by talking about it.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. Over the weekend, they had a TV reporter in to shoot a whole segment on their secret underground drone base, which is apparently, as the general says, he says, a Major General Masavi says that no doubt the drones of the Islamic Republic of Iran's armed forces are the region's most powerful, and our ability to upgrade them is unstoppable. And of course, this is, showing the whole clip shows the, interior of this secret underground base that's buried hundreds of meters below the Zagros Mountains, which is this 1,000-mile long range in western Iran. So again, the first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Kind of the first thing you do about your secret underground drone base you don't want anybody to know about is not talk about it. Won't be surprised that in a few weeks that we see a headline on CNN somewhere is like, secret underground drone base destroyed in suspicious explosion.
Bunker busters.
Exactly. Which is kind of interesting. I'm not going to spoil the movie, but there's kind of a hint of that in Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Secret underground bases. Things that go on in places you should know about.
Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. So, truth stranger than fiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Anyway, a couple other things out this morning. This was interesting. I thought DeLorean had kind of gone the way of the, dinosaur a while back. If you saw the movie, again, only people that, my and Brent's age probably remember this, but there used to be the series of movies out called Back to the Future. And in this series of movies, they had a car that could time travel. And it was a DeLorean, which was this car made by a guy named DeLorean. And it was all stainless steel, and it was kind of ahead of its time in terms of car. And the DeLorean DMC-12 was widely popular because of the movie Back to the Future. No, if you bought the car, it didn't time travel. But it did have gull wing doors and stainless steel body and all kinds of stuff. So it was a pretty innovative car at the time, and of course the interesting story behind this, the history of John DeLorean, and he was the creator of the DMC-12, was interesting. In 1982, this was 1 year after the DMC-12 was released, the FBI set up a sting where John DeLorean agreed to bankroll a fake cocaine smuggling operation in hopes of providing cash flow to his company. Now he wasn't bankrolling the fake deal. Like the FBI set up a fake smuggling operation, and he agreed to bankroll it, right? And so this didn't work out well for John DeLorean or his company, which went bankrupt shortly thereafter. He was arrested. He was sentenced to prison. So the car was only made between 1981 and 1982. Now, the ending of this story is something a lot of people don't know, is that Stephen Wynn, yes, the owner of Wynn Resorts, actually bought the rights to the company. According to the CEO of DeLorean Motor Company, they have now come out with a new DeLorean. The Alpha 5 is for people who like to drive. The quote from the company is, "We have been given the opportunity to reimagine a brand that has meant so much to so many people all over the world. DeLorean has touched so many lives and set the stage for so many memories. We're now witnessing a new chapter in this amazing story." Now, remember, this car was only produced for 2 years, and they made a movie about it. If the movie had never been made about this car, we wouldn't be talking about any of this, right? The only reason this car was so famous is because of this movie, or series of movies, with Michael J. Fox. Alpha 5 is now going to premiere at the Pebble Beach Concourse on August the 18th, and it's an all-electric DeLorean. And again, a bit of a throwback to the original DeLorean. The car has a lot of the same features, gold wing doors, kind of similar body shape, etc. But now, of course, all upgraded, modified, etc., and all electric. So this will be the rebirth of the DeLorean, which, again, if you're not of the baby boomer, ilk, probably you're not that familiar with the DeLorean anyway, but it probably doesn't mean that much to you. But I think it's kind of interesting just that it is actually finally making a comeback. So we'll see. I didn't even know they were still building cars. They're not. I mean, this is the first car to be built since 1982, but I didn't even know the company was still around in any form, but apparently it's been hanging out here this whole time, and they've been secretly working on this all-electric car. So
What was that guy's name that bought up all the spare parts?
I don't know who bought up the spare parts.
Gwynn, was that his
Stephen
name?
Wynn.
Stephen Wynn, yeah.
Yeah. The
He
casino.
bought all the spare parts that they had not put together in a car. He bought all those and began assembling them again.
There you go.
Yeah.
See? Well, when you own a bunch of casinos, you have that kind of cash.
There you have it, because the house always wins.
Well, and he has a lot of cash.
Yeah.
So, but no, I had no idea. But yeah, I had no idea he had bought the company and was still doing that. So anyway, interesting story. All electric coming back out. And again, now the problem is going to be getting batteries for your all electric car, but that's a whole nother story coming down the road.
And flux capacitors.
But again, he did modify that to use waste.
Yes.
So, it's, use banana peels, old sandwiches, whatever you had laying around, convert that into energy.
Greenies are going to love that.
Well, look, the DeLorean was way ahead. The whole movie Back to the Future, way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Right? It was all about climate change, clean energy, all that, and time travel. And no, if you buy a DeLorean, it does not go back in time. Even though I know you wish it could. We all wish we could go back in time and just start all over at this point. So can we just go back to 2019 and just kind of miss the whole shutdown? I think we'd be okay. Anyway, a couple other things here as we get ready to wrap up this morning. Again, one of the things that we're talking that's getting a little bit more traction as we get ready to go to midterms, of course, student loan relief. And Biden's talking about potentially using an executive order to, give relief of $10,000 for student loans. And of course, a lot of people are upset. It's like $10,000, that's a drop in the bucket for what I owe. But again, the problem with student loan relief in general is that it's a heavily flawed concept. And again, look, I know that we all want to try to help people, and that's all fine and dandy, but there's so many problems with student loan relief. The first and foremost is that that's taxpayer money. So basically, taxpayers are now just going to be left on the hook for making these student loans to begin with. And so we say, okay, so what? We'll just kind of screw the taxpayers. That's completely okay. But as we've talked about before, what are you going to do next? Right? What about the next group of people coming up that are getting student loans? Are they going to get relief too? What about the people that paid their loans? Do they get a rebate? You can do student loan relief. If you want to wipe out the debt of student loans, that's fine, but the government has to get out of the student loan business at the same time. It's like, look, the government is no longer going to be making student loans. We're going to forgive this much, and we're returning student loans back to the private sector. If they want to do it, great. If they don't want to do it, that's fine. That's up to them. But that's what's got to be done. The government can't forgive one group of people their student loans and they keep doing the program. Because everybody that does the program after this will want a relief of their student loans. And taxpayers have no control over making those student loans, right? We're giving money to the government, and they're supposed to be spending our money in a wise and intelligent manner for the benefit of the country. Of course, that hasn't happened in a long time. But we as individuals don't have any control. As taxpayers, we don't have really any control over what the government does with our money. So even though we may be opposed to giving out student loans, can't stop it. So the problem is that if you're going to forgive student loans, as we've talked about before, that's fine. right? You can certainly do that. Nobody's stopping you except the electorate. But you can't keep doing student loans. And this is the part that nobody's, again, talk about unintended consequences, things that we do that sound good on the surface that have unintended consequences down the road. This is one of those decisions. If you want to forgive student loans, that's fine and dandy. But what about the next group? And the group after that? And the group after that? So you've got to get out of this. You have to shut down the student loan program if you're going to forgive student debt. And again, as a taxpayer, I would be upset with that. I would be upset with the fact that I paid back my student loans as I was supposed to, since I was the one. And see, this is the problem we forget, is that, while student loans are a problem, not going to deny that. They shouldn't have been a problem, but the government took them over and said, hey, let's give everybody a student loan that wants one with no parameters. Now they're a problem, and we want to forgive this stuff. That's fine. But what about the responsibility of the loan in the first place? The people that are clamoring for the student loan relief are the ones that took out the loans. They signed the paperwork. Where's their responsibility in the process? Contract law is a very important thing. It's a very important concept in our country. It is what makes capitalism actually work. All right, wraps up the show for the day. Be back tomorrow. We'll see what the market does. Bitcoin is up this morning. Cryptocurrency is doing better. We'll see if the market follows suit after the open this morning as we wrap up the last day of May. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about what happens in the last month of the quarter tomorrow. See you then.
It's a rich man's world. It's a rich man's world.